Hey guys, welcome back to Python. In this class, we are going to look at how to analyze data from multiple files when we are doing our Python scripts. There's not a lot more that needs to be said. That's pretty self-explanatory, so we're going to just jump right on into it. All right, first things first, we want to make sure we're in the software carpentry folder. So desktop, classroom, my files. Yours isn't going to look like this, but remember it's like SWC. There's so many people in the classes. It's a good problem to have. I'm glad everyone's taking these classes. SWC Python right here. And then we wanted data. And you see we got all of our inflammation stuff here. So now I'm going to click on the Python script, make a new Python script. I'm going to save it as run title 4 here. I'm going to call this multiple files. I think that's a good name. All right. So first things first is we need to import glob. So this is a library that contains a function that is also called glob that finds files and directories whose names match a pattern. So remember, we did a little bit of stuff with that regular expression where we had like the asterisk that means anything, etc. So asterisk really means 0 or more characters. Question mark means any one character. There's a whole list of let's do this Python regular expression. So if you Python regex, so it can tell you there's a bunch of libraries here that say like, okay, 0 or more occurrences, 1 or more occurrences, ends with, starts with, all these different things you can make to be very specific with what you want Python to find for you. Okay. So let's do this. Print glob.glob. So that means use the glob library and then the glob function. And we're going to do inflammation star.csv. So this means inflammation and then anything.csv. So if you run this, it should tell us all. Why didn't it print? There we go. It should tell us all the inflammation data sets or inflammation spreadsheets, CSV files that we have in the current directory. So let's start by analyzing just the first 3 of these files in alphabetical order. So let's do this. So import glob, import numpy, import, I don't know, is it numpy or numpy? It looks like numpy, but it's Python, right? So I don't know. I should put a poll out. Put it in the comments. PIE for pi, PE for numpy. Let me know what you think it is. All right. Now it's all right. So matplotlib.pyplot. So we've used these 3 before. We're gonna do file names. This is gonna be kind of a long script, so bear with me. So glob.glob. To do inflammation and then asterisk .csv. So remember, this is going to CSV. This is going to find any inflammation, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever inflammation, whatever you want. .csv. File names equals file names 0 through 3. Not 0 through 3, 0 through 3. Okay, so let's take a stop here real quick and see what we did. We imported our packages, blah, blah, blah. We made a variable called file names. where it's sorted, so in numerical or alphanumerical order, the inflammation files that we showed right up here. So it just found all these and it sorted them. Then we said, okay, we're going to save over that. We're only going to take the first 3 and then save that into file names. Or first 4. Because 0 counts as a number, right? Oh no, but it's not including 3. So it is the first 3. Okay. So for file name, in file names, so we're saying, okay, for every file name in this list that we called file names, print file name. Now, our data equals numpy load txt fname equals file name delimiter equals comma, because they're CFSVs, right? So comma separated values. Then we're going to say we're going to make a figure. Fig matplotlib.pyplot.figure fig size equals 10.0. It was on 2 lines. 3.0. Okay. So we're going to plot this out. And this is similar to what we did previously, right? So our XS1 is going to be fig add subplot 1, 3, 1. So 1 row, 3 columns. This is the first one. XS2 equals, let's move it down here so you can see, fig.add subplot 1, 3, 2. XS3 equals fig.add subplot 1, 3, 3 as in the third one. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of labeling to make our plots nice. XS1 set the Y label. Y label is going to be average. XS1.plot numpy. So we get the mean data. XS equals 0. Then XS2, sorry, 2 dot set Y label min, maybe min. XS2 dot plot numpy amax data access equals 0. All right, XS3. So this is our last one, right? Y label min. Wait. Well, 2 is supposed to be max then. Max, amax. Okay, that makes sense. XS3. Lot numpy a min data access equals 0. Then fig tight layout, so we can choose what kind of layout we want. So we have tight. Then we want matplotlib.pyplot.show to show it. Whew. That was a lot, huh? Oh, hold on, this is gonna bug me. Title. This is not using loops. Using multiple files. What a bummer. I'm not going to re-record this video because I said that up there. I'll tell you what, I'm lazy. Alright, let's try running this now and hope that it works. Invalid syntax. This isn't supposed to be here. Alright, let's try this again. Position argument follows keyword argument. Interesting. What are they trying to tell me? Pyplot fig equals. Oh, the problem was this one was supposed to be there. I was missing an opening one. Oh, I thought it was gonna go. A mix. It should be a min. All right, come on. Hey, oh, look at that. It's going through and it's doing the first 3 files. So we got inflammation 1, inflammation 2, and inflammation 3. So the plots generated for the second clinical trial here. This is what software carpentry is telling the narrative to be. The plots generated at the second clinical trial look very similar to the plots at the first. The average plots show noisy rises and falls. Their maximal plots show exactly the same linear rise and fall, and their minimal plots show similar staircase structure. The third data set shows a much noisier average and maximum plots that are far less suspicious than the first 2 data sets. If you got data that looks like this, something's wrong. Like, nothing is that perfect. Like, this is what you get normally when you get any sort of time course measurement. However, the minimal plot shows that the third data set is constantly 0 across every day of the trial, so that's not great. It's they've created this. They've created a heat map of the third data set to kind of show you across the days, and so this is kind of cool. A cool way to explain the data, right? So as the days go, you can see, and these are like the patient numbers, that there's like a rise in inflammation, then a fall in inflammation. So it's hotter in the middle weeks and it's cooler on the edges. So they can, from this heat map, there are 0 valves sporadically distributed across all patients and days of the clinical trial, suggesting that there was issues with collection throughout the trial. Okay, so here, let's look at this again. And they said that you can see that there's like these dark purple ones, right, all throughout, or I would say purple, navy blue, dark blue, black almost. So remember, that's mapping the minimum. So across all these patients, if those black ones are 0, you get a solid line. But what they also show is that, okay, look at this line down here. This person somehow got included in the study. Either the data collection was incorrect. I can't go down any further, but it's the bottom line here. Either the data collection is incorrect, or that person doesn't have arthritis and they don't have inflammation in their joints, and they're just maybe a control accidentally got added to the experimental design or something. I don't know. But yeah, so it's a way that you can, using these multiple files like this, you can kind of assess whether or not the data set is valuable or has errors in it. Back to the software carpentry narrative. After spending some time investigating the heat map and the statistical plots as we are doing the above exercise, we gained some insight into the 12 clinical trial data sets. They seem to fall into 2 categories. If we were to do all 12 of these, the ideal data sets that agree exactly with Dr. Maverick's claims from the beginning of our inflammation trial here, but they display suspicious maxima minima like inflammation 1 and 2, and then we have noisy data sets that somewhat agree with Dr. Maverick's claims but show concerning data collection issues such as sporadic missing values and even an unsuitable candidate making it into the clinical trial, like we saw at the very last one I pointed out. So it appears that all these noisy data sets are identical down to the last value. So 3 of the data sets, inflammation 3, 8, and 11, are identical. Dr. Maverick then confesses that they fabricated the clinical data after they found out that initial trials suffered from a number of issues, including unreliable data recording and poor participant selection. So they faked it. Dr. Maverick is a cheater, and he shouldn't be doing science. So they created fake data to prove their drug worked, and when they were asked for more data, they tried to generate more fake data sets, as well as throwing in the original poor quality data sets a few times to try to make the trial seem a bit more realistic. So that's their lesson. If you make fake data, we'll find you. But yeah, so there's benefit to being able to use these functions to map multiple data sets. And even so, in this situation, the software carpentry story is, okay, Dr. Maverick faked it for his personal gain or to prove his arthritis stuff worked or whatever, but sometimes mistakes happen too. And so sometimes running these checks on yourself, I actually have had it with a student of mine recently, where there was some sort of duplication of data. So two of the same or two different genotypes had the exact same data, like it just got named incorrectly. So it's important. So essentially what would happen is like this, we saw this 2 times, right, with our data, the top row here. So it's a good self-check too, to be able to do this. Okay. So that is multiple files, analyzing multiple files. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, same old. We'll keep on getting through these basic things, and then we're going to get into actual bioinformatics. So we're getting close. Just a few more basics, and we'll do a little bit of bioinformatics in this course. If you wanted to learn a lot more bioinformatics, look for course 2, Python 2, that'll be coming in the summer too. So thanks for watching. I'll check you guys in the next video.